Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be the moderator for this virtual seminar. I am Vastavika Bhardwaj on behalf of Moodput Society, Law College Dehradun, Faculty of Uttaranchal University, welcomes you all in the second edition of National Online Lecture Series on contemporary legal topics. It's my privilege to welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. J.M. Sharma, sir, senior advocate at the apex court of the country. Sir has an experience of over 30 years of practice before all courts of the country. Mr. J.M. Shar is also a senior mediator at the Supreme Court of India. Sir has an extensive experience of mediating all sorts of disputes. Sir has also served as the Vice President of the Supreme Court Bar Association for the period of 2018 and 19. Recently, Sir has also taken up an extensive training from the University of Harvard in mediation with an objective to promote ADR in settlement of all sort of disputes. The experience and expertise of Mr. Sharma is a guiding light for all the budding lawyers and youngsters of the country. Now, I welcome Professor Dr. Rajesh Bhogana sir, Patron, Moodput Society, Dean, Law College Dehradun, uh, and officiating Vice Chancellor of Uttaranchal University. I also welcome Professor Dr. Poonam Rawat ma'am, HOD Law, Chairperson of Moodput Society, Law College Dehradun, and officiating principal. Now I request Professor Dr. Rajesh Bhogana sir to address the attendees.
Thank you, Astukta. Uh, on the occasion of this second series of online lectures on the contemporary issue, today's keynote speaker, Mr. J.M. Sarmaji, Senior Advocate at Supreme Court of India. Professor Poonam Rawat, Principal of Law College Dehradun and Patron of the Society. President of the Society, Ms. Anna Anupriya, its Vice President, Mr. Danish Khan, Secretary, Ms. Gauri, and the convener and instrumentality behind organizing this event, Mr. Rahul Kumar Sharma, and today's host, Ms. Vastika Bhardwaj. Dear participants from Uttaranchal University and different university of the country. It's my proud privilege to welcome you on the behalf of Law College Dehradun, Faculty of Uttaranchal University, and in particular on the behalf of its Moot Court Society. You all are welcome on the behalf of Uttaranchal University family. Now, let me tell you, when we started this series, we had in our mind that there are certain subjects which we are taking in regular course, but there are certain subjects which either we are not taking directly or they are in syllabus just touch. It includes so many contemporary topics also. Now, I understand that alternative dispute resolution system has come up as a parallel avenue for the law graduates. During our research, it is seen that in the country like United States of America, 97% cases are being settled outside the court. And when such countries have come up with two types of advocates, litigating and non-litigating. Even in some of the countries, they have parallel association of non-litigating lawyers. They never goes to court, but play an important role in resolving dispute amicably. So at this juncture, I feel it necessary that about the ADR and its complete mechanism, my student and all the young budding lawyers must not only be conversant about it, but they must take it. Sometimes they may take it as a choice and they can become master in that. Necessarily after graduation or during the period of graduation, there are so many trainings are being given for the mediation. ICADR in India, ICEDR in England, they are giving 40 hours trainings. But I feel it, the interaction with the people, those who are practically doing this, those who are in the field for long years, that will prove better. And in addition, if need, you can take that 40 hours training also to well equip you technically also in documents also. So keeping this into view, we have been inviting eminent personalities and our focus has been on contemporary issues, and one is the arbitration, mediation, of course, conciliation, negotiation comes by default. So today's speaker, Sri J.M. Sharma ji, Senior Advocate, as we have seen his experience in mediation is long experience. So I understand that my students and some of the faculty members who have joined, students from other university, and since the entire speech is kept recorded on the platform of the university, so many can be benefited with that. With this, not taking much of the time, but I will invite Sri Sarmaji to come with this presentation. Thank you and most welcome, Sri Sarmaji, once again.
Thank you, Rajesh ji. Good afternoon, students. Vastekta Bharadwaj, Dr. Rajesh Bauguna ji, Ms. Poonam, the head of the dean, and all dear loving students. I always feel great pleasure and happiness inside when I interact with students. And it is always a great, immense pleasure and happiness when you interact with young blood, the students. I must congratulate you all students that today the education system is such where you have got more opportunity, unlike us where there were lesser opportunities. We had 3 years course, and whatever we have, in whatever position we are here, maybe because of destiny, God's help, and some little labor and lot of good luck. But you will be there solely because of your education. Your education is going to play a great and pivotal role in your position, what you will be there sometime afterwards. The series which has been started by the university and the organizers, I must congratulate them that this will give a immense knowledge to the young students, which will shape their career, and this will give a great impetus in shaping their careers. Now, the topic which has been given to me is a mediation. Let us be clear about all law students what we are going through a process to the court system and getting disputes resolved. The primary object of a system is to resolve disputes among the two individuals, parties, institutions, or whatsoever it. Now, the process is mainly is adjudicatory. Adjudicatory in the sense, suppose there is a dispute and the dispute arises. Somebody says, okay, no, I'm right. The other party says, no, sorry, you are wrong, I'm right. Now, the both party goes to the court and the court adjudicates. Okay, yes, A is right or B is right or somebody else is right or wrong. Or things how it moved on, you are half right, half wrong, and you are some right, some things, some wrong. Which leaves an element of having a dissatisfaction. Say like there could be a situation because courts have got their own limitations. And this adjudicatory process can further be divided into twofold. One is through the court, where you go to the court and the court promises, the court appointed the state authority. State appoints a judicial service where the authority of a dispensing officer, the judicial dispensation officer, is by the authority of the state. Gradually, over a period of time, it grew up a system evolved that the parties decided that let's resolve our dispute by a person who has got a great responsibility, faith, and he has got a knowledge, and we call him an arbitrator. So the difference between arbitration and regular litigation is just only the choice of your adjudicating authority. Both are adjudicatory in process. And this adjudicatory process, though arbitration is a very well popular and alternative dispute resolution, but incidentally, in India, the data states that almost about more than 70% cases, 70% awards which have been passed by an arbitrator are being challenged in court, despite the fact that under the new Arbitration Act, the process of process of challenging that arbitration award is getting narrower and narrower. The court's indulgence in getting adjudicated about that award is getting narrower and narrower, but still it is there. It is in this background, way back in 70s, thought process evolved from West. It's surprising that it evolved in West, though it was already in existence in India. They evolved, and what is the today what we are seeing, the process and the structured phase of nation is evolved in West. The thought process evolved in West, mainly in England, mainly in USA, where they said the parties, those who are in dispute, they only know its best solution. So why not a system be evolved where a conciliator or a mediator, a person, a trained person who can help parties to resolve their dispute through a settlement. Now, mediation, unlike adjudicatory process of court and arbitration, is absolutely non-adjudicatory. It do not adjudicate anything. It do not say, sir, your A is right, B is wrong, or a B is right, A is wrong. Or partly you are right, partly wrong. It basically, mediator is a person who helps the parties, both the parties, after talking to them, that why not evolve to a settlement and persuades the party to arrive at a settlement. Therefore, the understanding of a role of a mediator is very important. Unlike court, where the authority of an adjudicatory process is the court authority of under the statutory, in arbitration, he also gets a statutory authority. In mediation, it is absolutely consensual. If party says, sorry, I don't have faith in you, mediator, so please, I don't want, the mediation proceedings stops. Unlike in arbitration, you may not have a faith in one individual. Then the statute says, okay, you are not faith in A, go for B. But in mediation, the mediation process will stop. And if the moment says, no, I have no faith in mediation. So therefore, the training and a concept of mediator is much more, I don't say more than that, but the responsibility is of a different nature. In the sense, when a mediation is started, the mediator is absolutely a neutral person. He has to qualities which is few of the required. He must have knowledge of law. He must be able to understand both the parties. He must inspire confidence in both the parties about his neutrality. That, look, sir, there is a neutrality clause is there. And one of the most important thing about mediation is the confidentiality. Unlike in adjudicatory process, where all your stands, your statements are things opened up from your point of view, and the court or the arbitrator adjudicates. In mediation, everything is being opened, but it is in confidence. In a mediation process, what we do is, after mediator is only a facilitator. First of all, I must make it, he do not adjudicate. Therefore, first quality a mediator should have, he should not be a judgmental. If he is being judgmental, he should not be in a position to say, oh, I think A is wrong, or B is slightly biased, or he's having his own prejudices or his biases. So he has to be an absolutely neutral person. He don't have to be judgmental. He is only a facilitator. He facilitates the parties to arrive at a settlement. He cannot force any party. Okay, look, sir, this is in your interest. Please, you must do it. So therefore, the temperamentally requirement of a mediator and that of an arbitrator or a judge are slightly different. Because for a mediator, he only helps. He cannot adjudicate. He cannot say, no, sir, your case is bad. You do not have any right. Or under this position, he is absolutely wastage of time. Mediator only facilitates, and after arriving at a settlement, he persuades the party. He says, sir, this could be a possible settlement which should be in your favor. And in the process, he holds a separate meetings. Separate meetings means, one, there could be a joint meeting, and then there is a separate meeting, which we call it in a technical language, we call it caucus or a separate meeting, whatever the name you go with. And in the process, the mediator interacts with the individual party, and he keeps whatever he says, whatever the A party says, keeps to himself only, and do not communicate to the B party unless he gets the permission of A. Then he interacts with the B party, listens to his case, and therefore he understands both, because he is getting feedback from both the parties, and therefore he tried to persuade to arrive at, because he knows the real solution, and then a settlement is arrived at. If the parties arrived at a settlement, then a settlement is written, and that settlement is in writing. And since there are two processes which I must make very clear, mediation can happen. Mediation has a source of a statutory under section 89 CPC, and that refers only to during litigation. Suppose the parties have already gone in litigation and they are before the court, and there the judge considers that there is a possibility of settlement in that particular case. So therefore he will refer it to a mediator. Now, after the settlement is arrived at, parties are to record the settlement, and the settlement would be considered to be as a settlement what you get it in order 23 rule 3 CPC, and thereafter the settlement is presented to the court. and court passes an order which is a consent decree, sort of a consent decree, and which is what a binding effect. Binding effect. So after the mediation, since parties have agreed upon, and after agreeing upon, court passes a decree. So this decree becomes, or an order becomes, an executable order. So there is no confusion at all. The decree, once it is being passed, it is final, and no, since then under 23 Rule 3, appeal is also not permissible against that consent decree. So therefore, that order becomes final. Now, no more further litigation. Now, is in the process, I must make things very clear. One more thing which comes to our mind. There could be a situation where there is a pre-litigation. What Professor Rajesh has just mentioned about the US data which he has given, which is they also in the 70s, 80s, and during 90s when the system evolved, they had a huge areas of cases, huge pendency. Though their number judge population ratio is much higher than in India. In India, we have got about 1 to 110, and they have got 1 to 10. 100,000 to 10. We have got 100,000 to 10. They have got 100,000 to 110. So that much of higher ratio. But despite that, since they take a lot of time, so therefore, and the litigation costs are much higher, and pendency is too much. So therefore, the concept of pre-litigation developed there. While in concept of pre-litigation is prevalent in India also, and it is in the nascent stage. It has started. Now, what we do is, whenever there is to have a binding decree, because normally a lot of people have got a concept of think there is a party agreed to a settlement, and even if they arrive at a settlement, now somebody says, sorry sir, I don't agree to this settlement. How will you get it executed? So it is not an executed decree. It is not by a court decree. So therefore, you once again go to the court to get it adjudicated that this is the consent decree and he is not performing his responsibilities or a specific performance. You once again go to the court. Now, what has evolved in the process is that we take an agreement of the parties, and by virtue of which, because under the Arbitration Act 1996, it provides arbitration and conciliation. Though the conciliation concept, there is a very thin line between a conciliator and a mediator, and conciliator. In West, they consider it absolutely similar, but in India, they have got a thin line. They say a conciliator is a person who not only facilitates parties to arrive at a settlement, he can give his own suggestion also. That look, for you, this is the better solution and go for it. While mediation in this technical sense in India, the concept which is prevalent, which says that the mediator is only a facilitator, he cannot give his own suggestion and let the parties take it own call. So what we do is at present, this problem was resolved to a great extent by Justice Ravindran in his judgment in FCONS. FCONS case is 2010, I think 2010-8 SCC. Yes, 2010-8 SCC, page 24. It's an FCONS. For you, all students must note down. Those who want to have a mediation, and they must have a clear concept. That's a landmark judgment, which gives you a very clear picture about mediation, alternative dispute resolution, section 89, and then how it could be resolved, the CPC references, then the Salem bar, and all those things. So, what in a pre-litigation dispute, the parties gives a agreement by virtue of which is an agreement which is required under under Arbitration and Conciliation Act, where the process mediator can adopt under the conciliation, and on the basis of that consent, process is adopted of mediation, a conciliation award is being passed. Now that award is as good as a decree under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. So for that, it do not require a further adjudication or a further enforcement by a court of law. So that's a pre-litigation dispute in case it is being resolved, because not many times this question arises. So therefore, you must notice down in a pre-litigation situation and a post-litigation. Now, like all processes which are available and all tools, they have got its own limitations. Mediation is a wonderful process where the dispute is between with regard to the relationship. There is a dispute between matrimonial dispute. There is a dispute with regard to relationship, family dispute, brothers, sisters, parents, landlord-tenant dispute, business dispute, where they are an agent or a principal, landlord-tenant. Such disputes, it works where the relationship involves, it works wonders. Wonders, where I really use the wonder, because what it happens ultimately, it assuages the feelings of, and the relationship is settled, and it is embalmed. Whenever the dispute arises, what happens? Whenever a dispute arises, you feel A feels, no, B is at wrong, and therefore he has hurt my feeling, or B says that A has hurt my feelings. Now, when a settlement, even in an adjudication, this feeling is never assuaged. When a court decides that A is right, the B will say, no, sorry, sir, court has not considered it. The appellate court say, okay, B is wrong or otherwise. Feelings are not assuaged. While in a settlement, both parties are very happy, are happier persons and better individuals. And this is the USP of mediation, that the two individuals come out as a better person in society. Ultimately, what is why the disputes arise? Disputes arise because of dissatisfactions among the individuals, and which they feel that they could be seen in a different perspective. So in a mediation, after arriving at where the relationship is involved, they come out as a better person. But at the same time, it has got a limitation. Say like it cannot work in criminal cases. In criminal cases, if you recollect, there is a 320 CRPC, which says compounding of offences, which relates to the minor offences. And in minor offences, you can compound. The mediation can help. But where the sentence is little higher, or much more, and then compounding is not permissible. However, as a law student, you must know the latest the trends which have been going on in the courts of law. Under CRPC, there is a provision, a chapter of plea bargaining. It is still not being used much, but it is being nowadays being used as a tool for settling the dispute also. That's an avenue. And the second, the Supreme Court has recently evolved itself to explore the possibility of a settlement where even the criminal offense is an outcome of a relationship. Say like domestic violence in a matrimonial home. In a matrimonial home, whenever there is a dispute between wife and a husband, and the complaints are being lodged against parents, relatives, with regard to domestic violence, then 498A and other offences. If I rightly recollect, 498A is a non-compoundable offence, so therefore it cannot be compounded. But if the parties have arrived at a settlement and wife and husband resolve the dispute, the ideal would be the living together, and the next best is to part with peacefully. So therefore the courts have evolved a system. They say there is no point in continuing these proceedings, and the continuance of these proceedings would be an abuse of process. So therefore they can be quashed in exercise of their powers of inherent jurisdiction under section 482 CRPC. So, but it is nowadays recently being restricted. It is being nowadays prevalent in matrimonial cases, but however it is gradually exceeding its case. And in a very recently, for almost about before lockdown, there was a case of 307 between the two brothers. However, the court said, okay, look, you must explore the possibilities of mediation, and because ultimately it was a civil dispute between the brothers regarding the partition of properties, and the mediation process is going on. It has, because of COVID, it has not worked out. So let us see the outcome. So the court is just evolving the system to exploring the possibilities. It is in the experimental stage. It has not yet percolated in the trial court stages, where even the non-compoundable offences are being compounded by way of a mediation. Because 482 jurisdiction is an inherent jurisdiction. It can only be exercised by High Court or by Supreme Court. So therefore, under the trial, for the trial court, it is still, we consider it 320 is a guideline. If any offences come within the framework of 320, then it is a compoundable. Otherwise, it is a non-compoundable, and mediation has no role in it. Anyhow, as it is, but I'm just giving you the what we feel, what we are going in, the latest trends in the Supreme Court. Now, after these processes are going on, as I told you, there are certain limitations. Limitation in the sense, in the rare cases where there is a fraud allegation, where there is a will which is to be required, which is a limitation which are in the Arbitration Act also. Except in those or the serious criminal offences or in offences against the public, say like a murder case, is an offence against the public. So in those cases, it will not be, mediation would not be an effective remedy, and there it has to be an adjudication, or there is a constitutional issue or a constitutional point where it has to be determined by a court. So therefore, that is the limitation for a mediation. But otherwise, in all other litigations, all other quality of categories of litigation, mediation and civil disputes, it's a wonderful and it works really wonderful. Now, a few things which I must share with you. Mahatma Gandhi was amongst the first well-known mediators, and though he had a very limited practice in law as a lawyer, but during his South Africa, whatever the limited practice he had, and he has, I must, for all your students, I'm using his, what I quote what he has written in his autobiography. Both parties were happy over the result and both rose in the public estimation. My joy was boundless. I had learned the true practice of law. I had learned to find out the better side of the human nature and to enter the men's hearts. The lesson was so indelibly learned into my heart that a large part of my time during the 20 years of my practice as a lawyer, we occupied in bringing about private compromises of hundreds of cases. I lost nothing, thereby not even money, certainly not my soul. Now, this is the last line is very important. While as we evolved, therefore I give you, all those students which I say, when we evolved as a lawyer, we always considered as a litigation as a litigant lawyer. And the litigation means that the one lawyer would have been a wonderful who argues very well, who can defend his client very well. And because that was the way of giving money. Conciliation was never considered to be as an option. But for you all law students, I must say that nowadays a thought process is being evolved and a concept of mediation lawyers are being evolved and it is going on. So therefore, the last line which I said, I lost nothing thereby, not even money. Of course, he was Mahatma Gandhi, he was satisfied with a smaller or a amount of money or whatever it is. But nowadays, in mediation, it's going a good practice and it's a comfortable living and certainly not the soul. At times as a lawyer, I had also an experience, I had come across where I had argued a matter, but in heart of my heart, I found that not speaking, because professionally it is unethical, because I am there to defend my client and not to adjudge, because the process requires the adjudication is by the court. But I feel that in heart of my heart that the justifiable facts are not there, which I am going to argue, and I argue the matter, whatever the fate, the court decides it. But in mediation, rest assured, you will never hurt your soul, you will never hurt your conscience, and you will be comfortably living. So therefore, nowadays to all young law graduates, I say, look forward, look forward. It's all an individual perception. So it will be a good option if you go for a mediation as a mediator lawyer. You can move ahead. One more interesting thing which I say, as I traced the history, today I don't have that document. The earliest mediator in Indian history, most of them must be knowing Tulsidas. In fact, there is a document from Allahabad High Court. I don't have a copy of that. I gave that copy during my conference in Glasgow. I had copy, but I couldn't find it. Lay my hands with it, otherwise I would have said it. I would request Professor Saab to write down to Allahabad High Court Museum. It is preserved there. The document is there, where the Kashi Naresh, the king of Kashi, Banaras was known as Kashi. There is a farman which says that there was a dispute between two brothers, and Tulsidas, who was a great literature and a good person and a person of repute, was asked to mediate to resolve the disputes between those two brothers. And that's the first recorded phenomena. I showed it to the audience at Glasgow, and they were amazed. I said, I know only, it was written in some Mundi Hindi or whatever it is. I was able to read 3 or 4 lines only, and that I got a photostat copy of also. But I couldn't lay my hands. So for your consumption, for all students, which I say, even Tulsidas was the first mediator. So mediation is embedded in the Indian ethos. So therefore, mediation can go ahead. And last, I would just conclude. I would just share the 2 experiences, and which I say. What had happened? There was 2 parties were mediating. The court called us and said there were 2 corporate houses. The court appointed us as me and one more person as a mediator. We persuaded along. Unfortunately, the settlement could not arrive at. After some time, about 2 years or 3 years after, a very senior advocate, Krishna Mani, who was president of Meerut Supreme Court Bar Association, he met me before. He is no more now. He met me. He said, Jiten, you were a mediator in those time. I have to inform you one thing. My client said they had already taken a stand to resolve the matter. That matter has now been resolved, but it is because of your efforts the settlement had arrived at. But the party said they wanted to test each other's capability. So therefore, from then onwards, I started saying the mediation never fails. The only thing is the settlement could not be arrived at this stage. So at this stage, settlement may not be arrived at. Maybe as time evolves, as time changes. So therefore, after some time, they wanted, or the circumstances were such, they arrived at a settlement. So mediation never fails. Never fails. This is the one. Maybe the time to arrive at a settlement may not be there. And last, what I will explain, share my experiences, that it is always an evolving thing. It can evolve in any type of jurisdiction, even in a matter where a writ jurisdiction, we had made court to ask for a mediation and to resolve the dispute, and dispute has resolved. And recently you have seen on the matter, 5 judges bench the last year, they sought that this dispute should be resolved by through mediation. Incidentally, it did not arrive at, so therefore the court has to adjudicate. But mediation process, the faith of the court in having ability to resolve the dispute in mediation is immense. And with this, I thank you very much once again to Professor Saab, to Dr. Poonam, and to Vastvikta Bharadwaj, and Rahul Sharma, and all the technical team, those who are there. And thank you very much for calling me. And good luck to all students. Now, if you want to question answer, Rahul, Vastikta, is there any question answer or interaction? Vastikta, you have to unmute your mic.
Thank you so much, sir, for this knowledgeable session. Sir, first of all, I would like to welcome Sanpreet, sir, for joining us.
Acha.
Sir, can you give some throw some light on the importance of mediation? Then we'll move to the.
Address on the point of mediations.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll just share my experience. My pranam to all Gurujis. Today I have my Guru Dr. Bhaguna Sahab, Poonam ma'am, and J.M. Sharma sir. I joined the office of J.M. Sharma sir when he was advocate on record in Supreme Court. Now sir has been designated as senior counsel, and sir was senior mediator, and still sir is a senior mediator in Supreme Court. So I had an experience of briefing him in mediation sessions also. I'll just quickly summarize that mediation is a process where two parties sit along with the trained mediator who tries to resolve the matters amicably. And this is the process where a lot of technical aspects are not taken into consideration, and it's kept totally confidential, and the mediator has to be impartial, and it cuts short the problem and puts an end to the litigation. We are trying to bring out a case before the Honorable Supreme Court to establish pre-litigation mediation centers all over the nation, and I had words with my senior Sharmaji about it, and very soon after this lockdown process is over, we'll initiate that. Now coming to the my experience regarding mediation. I had an occasion to appear before the Honorable Uttarakhand High Court. I was sitting in a court for waiting my turn to come. There was an habeas corpus petition before the court of Justice Rajiv Sharma, and the petition was filed by the wife saying that my husband be brought to the court and he has been illegally detained somewhere. The police person on the next date of hearing brought him to the court, and there occasioned a very embarrassing situation, not only for the court, for everyone, because that person comes and states that I have now again married to some other lady without getting divorced from the first wife. So at that point of time, the habeas corpus petition goes, and no legal remedy is available to the person. Though she can seek annulment of the marriage, she can seek divorce, she can say that the subsequent marriage is null and void. But at that point of time, Justice Rajiv Sharma immediately appointed me as a mediator in that matter, and asked me to take the parties along with me and try to conciliate and try to bring some settlement between them. I had a session with them. I told them the consequences, that this marriage is void. Even you have committed an offense under Section 494 IPC. So ultimately, the parties settled down and they had a word with the second wife, and she said that all right, if he is willing to go with his first wife and pay the damages to me, then entire thing can be resolved. So at that point of time, it was very difficult for me as a mediator and a person from legal fraternity to draft such type of settlement agreement which cannot be arrived into. I narrated the facts before the court. Said, all right, you just bring down whatever the parties are consenting to, and let's see what happens. So I immediately drawn. So I started by saying that the facts narrated by both the parties are quite disturbing. But now, since they have arrived into settlement, and as per settlement, they want this and they want this, and ultimately this will lead to the three families. So the court accepted it. So mediation is the process whereby this lengthy process, cost-effective process, can be brought into, and the parties may put their grievance at rest to some point of time. Because if we go by litigation, the problem in our country is mostly I may say that has been generated by us, we the lawyers, not all lawyers, but the procedure, the guidelines given in the procedural codes. If we talk about CRPC, CPC, if one has to delay the procedure, if one party is just want to humiliate the other side, and it knows that by adopting delaying tactics, I may put some pressure upon the other side. So there are many ways to prolong the proceedings. But when we come to mediation, I may also share one experience. There was a case in Apex Court wherein I may say the Court of Justice Ramanna, a 3 judges bench, were hearing a petition, a dispute of a shop relating to state of Bihar, where two brothers were fighting for a shop, and ultimately the court said that now you have travelled to the Supreme Court, and the litigation came here after you contested the matter for almost 15 years, and since you are relatives, why don't you try for a mediation? And the matter was adjourned or only on the ground that both parties must consent that they are willing to really go for a mediation. Ultimately, on the next date, the court heard the matter and asked the parties, are you willing to go for mediation? Both the parties consented. So when both the parties consented, the Supreme Court in its wisdom has passed a very unique order. And I must quote here, the order was to the mediator to adjudicate the issue. And this was for the first time when we took that order to the Mediation Central Supreme Court, and the mediator was Mr. Jain. Sharma sir must know him. He was shocked to see the order that the court has asked me to adjudicate upon the issue. So ultimately, the spirit of that order was, if the court would ask the mediator to negotiate between the parties and make them to come into some settlement, the parties may say the winning party always had an upper hand. They say, no, we are not ready, and the court has simply asked for mediation, and this is the final vote. If we don't accept to the mediation, the other party is on it has no benefit out of it. So ultimately, when the Supreme Court in its wisdom directed the mediator to adjudicate upon the issue, both the parties have given their claims, and the mediator in its wisdom put the parties in a compromising term, and the matter settled. And ultimately, both the brothers who travelled all the way from Bihar came along with their counsels by bearing lot of litigation expense, and ultimately both the parties, when we sat outside after getting the mediation resolved, both the parties realized that the cost of the shop was less than the amount we spent in the litigation. So by these words, I may first tender my apologies to joining late due to some technical problems, and I'm very much sure that Sharma sir must have educated us on this topic very well. Thank you so much. Over to you, Vastika.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, now we shall move to the question answer session. So the first question that we have is, e-commerce disputes are common in India but not satisfactorily redressed. This reduces the confidence in the e-commerce segment, and the unsatisfied consumers have little choice against the big e-commerce players. Can you tell your views on mediation on e-commerce disputes?
Look, e-commerce and the commercial, where the commercial relationship is there, then mediation is an ideal forum to dispute resolution. Whether it's a recently there is a statutory amendment also under the Commercial Codes Act. There is a requirement that all disputes must be referred to a court to a mediator before resolving it. With regard to particularly with regard to e-commerce, Recently, a trend worldwide has arisen, and this COVID has given an impetus where the mediation is being held through e-mediation. The concept of e-mediation has come. Now the e-mediators are there which can resolve the dispute possibly within a shorter time. In place of getting it adjudicated by a longer time, by a court or a consumer forum or whatever it is, and it takes a much longer time. And if it could be go by a e-mediation, the e-mediate, very soon after the lockdown, you will come across e-mediator. And Sanpreet has rightly said it, that there must be pre-litigation centers, and very soon you are going to hear from Sanpreet Singh that there are, because of his efforts, e-mediation centers are being, pre-litigation mediation centers are being established in throughout the country. Very soon you will hear this news. He is being very generous that he is informing you here, but very soon you will hear this from him. So for all those e-commerce, mediation would be an ideal situation.
Yes, sir, the next question is, what are the changes in law and policy that have contributed to the greatly increased use of mediation as a means of resolving disputes in civil matters in both courts and tribunals?
Look, the first, as far as the legal provisions are concerned, first of all, the first provisions which we get, earliest provision is under the Industrial Disputes Act. That's in the conciliation. They have used the word conciliation, where there is a dispute between the labor and the management, and they must refer it to a conciliation. It's an Industrial Disputes Act. I don't recollect the section, but under the industrial disputes, there is a provision. But the recent latest which has been come up, it is by the 2002 amendment in the CPC. First provision is section 89. Section 89 refers it that alternative dispute resolution, and they are all with regard to the matters pending in court, and which refers it to an arbitration, then conciliation, mediation, or lok adalat. The second legal provision is the Legal Authorities Act, where there is a lok adalat, where the courts ask the parties to arrive at a settlement. And since the judges are there to preside over those meetings, so therefore judges have got a, all said and done, judges have got a mindset which said, okay, no, they adjudicate the process, A is wrong, B is wrong, so therefore they force their settlement also. Okay, you must arrive at a settlement in this manner. And recently you will come across under the Commercial Courts Act. Now they are in Consumer Court. Also, I recently came across that the National Consumer Commission, they have also passed by way of a notification, government order, that all consumer courts must also emphasize for a settlement. And even in family courts, matrimonial cases, there was already a provision that before, after filing the written statement, the parties must go for possibility of a settlement. But rightly said it, the most important would be the pre-litigation. Suppose, why should people go at all to the court? Because once you go to the court, you have started a mindset, you are taking a different train altogether, a different track altogether. And once it goes there, then a lot of things come. And rightly, Sanpreet has rightly pointed out that at times there could be dispute, could be a very not so big, but then the legal advice adds on to the process, and it multiplies, and then they say, okay, oh, it is not my wrong, it is your wrong also. The example which he has given with regard to the matrimonial dispute habeas corpus petition is an ideal example of mediation. Just imagine a situation where the matter would not have been resolved. The High Court would have come to an end after a habeas corpus petition the moment party is physically present. Now the first wife would file for annulment, 490, whatever this bigamy and criminal proceedings, and they would have been fighting. The second wife, she must be saying, no, the husband would be advised, no, deny the first marriage, otherwise you will be in a soup. So you will be saying, no, first marriage is dissolved. Factually, it is there. But because of mediation, all parties sat together and it was resolved. And finally, they arrived at a settlement. And what was the ultimate achievement? First was the courts are not bogged with the litigation. Areas will not come up because once a litigation starts, then it appeal, revision, and so and so. Rightly said that somebody is beneficiary of the delay in litigation. And thirdly, the greatest achievement was peace. All parties were happy and they started living, they moved on. While in litigation, you stuck up. In mediation, you move on. And life and you move on. That's what I say. And therefore, now statute is coming up. Very recently, there is no specific statute with regard to mediation as such, unlike arbitration. But it is in the very process. Very soon you will hear it, a mediation enactment with regard to mediation. In Western countries, there are some enactments and it's in the process. Very soon you will hear. Reports have been submitted. Yes.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question. As you mentioned that mediation should be fanatical about procedural justice. So how can we possibly assess substantive justice?
Oh, look, as far as the justice part is concerned, I recollect I was interacting once with Justice Ahmadi, former Chief Justice, still there. I'm quoting in the. He used to say the concept of justice is always relative. Suppose two parties come to the court. A has got his own stand. B has got his own stand. Court adjudicates in favor of A. A says, yes, justice has been done to me. Court is very justifiable. Look at the concept of B. B will say, no. The court is wrong here. Court has not considered his evidence or that matter at that document, or the perception of court is wrong. So the concept of justice is always relative. While in an adjudicative process, while in mediation, the concept of justice is it's a win-win situation for both. Both are getting justice. Both are getting something out of the problem. It is just say like a situation has arisen. Nowadays, I put it this way, recently because of COVID, you will come across a lot of litigations. There will be a spurt of litigation. Maybe because of force measure clause, maybe because the installments have not been paid, EMIs have not been fulfilled, commitments have not been kept, and because of passage of time, 3 months and lockdown, people will all depend on. So there will be a lot of disputes. Now in these disputes, if you come across, you go to the courts will be flooded with such type of litigations. And some of the lawyers would be just be saying, wow, it's a great thing, it's a boom after lockdown. But in fact, the spurt of litigation would put more areas. To the contrary, if you go for a mediation, the resolving of a dispute would bring peace and settlement and justice to all parties. So therefore, mediation would be a step towards achieving the substantial justice for each of the parties. Yes, Vasudha.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Dr. Rajesh Bhogana, sir, to give some views before we proceed to vote of thanks.
After this wonderful interactive session, there is not much to say, but I must tell you, when Mr. Sharma joined, he started mediation right from stating that how there is a paradigm shift in the legal education and judicial system, taking into consideration the ADR. Then specifically taking mediation, he has given what the mediation is and what are the roles of mediators. He has given us the whole process of mediation, right from section 89 to order 23 rule 3 also. He has explained what are the consequences if mediation is not successful, how the process will help. He has given emphasis on the pre-litigation also. Then he has also touched the conciliation part also, mediation, conciliation, and more specifically, what are the cases where mediation is advisable. He has touched section 320 also, compoundable, non-compoundable, and what will be the fate in future, what we can assess. What I have seen is he has given two more important cases he has referred. One is 210-8 SCC and other one is the very old, I do not know it is quoted somewhere or not, that is the king of Kashi and the fight between that dispute between two brothers, and when the Tulsidas ji was appointed as mediator in that. So this is what is very interestingly, and we can say that the mediation, this process is in the root of our country. We cannot forget the concept of Panch Parameswar. I would like to share with you, when I was appearing with the final Viva examination of my research in Kurukshetra University. So innocently I told them that we have the concept of Panch Parameswar, and all these other countries in the form of which they are showing us ADR. In fact, that is our product and we can adopt it very easily. So I remember it's a long back. The guidance was of Professor Sabharwal sir. So he asked me, how can you convince the people in India? Because whenever you say go for negotiation, they say कि advocate साहब ये तो दलाली कर रहे हैं, means mindset is not prepared. Then I would like to share the answer which I have given before, long back before that board, eminent board. I said that because we were sitting in Kurukshetra, I said that it is like, I can tell them it's like a potato which we grow in our field and we sell it 2 rupees per kg. And when they comes back to us in a very good wrapper, we purchase it sometime 200 rupees per kg. So this concept which the world want to show us that we are tackling 97% cases out of the court like in USA. So it's a concept of Panch Parameswar. Now Mr. Sharma has given an example which is very much, he said, available in the library, that long back when Tulsidas ji was appointed as a mediator. So this is the nothing can be said beyond that. He has also quoted Mahatma Gandhi ji, and that quotation, I think in entire world, whenever any speaker speak about the ADR, whenever any speaker speak about the mediation, he never fails to quote Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi ji on this. So this is the good points which have come upon from the Sharma ji to us. And in second part, our proud alumni, Tanmir Singh Ajmani, and President of Youth Bar Association, and a very dynamic young lawyer joined. He has shared his experience, and myself is very happy, and Mr. Sharma as well as Dr. Rawat ought to be happy being his gurus, that not only the old generation but new generation is coming up with so dynamic ideas and views. My all the blessings are with you, Sanpreet.
Thank you, sir.
And with this, once again, I would say, Sharma ji, I will definitely, in advance, I invite you in Law College Dehradun. What we are doing, whenever the situation permits, you are welcome and invited from my side.
Sure,
This is
sure.
college of your disciple, Sanpreet also, and college of all 200 students who are watching to you.
No
Thank
problem, sir. I would love to interact with the students, and interaction is physical interaction or virtual interaction would be, I would love to be there because I want to be with the young minds because I learn a lot from them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Over to Vartika.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Mr. Danish Khan, Vice President, Moodput Society, to present vote of thanks.
Thank you, Vastavikta. Having come to end of today's webinar, let me, without further delay, propose a vote of thanks to everyone who made this possible. Firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Jitendra M. Sharma, who agreed to lead this online lecture series as a keynote speaker. Mediation is a very relevant topic for discussion and analysis and a great legal prospect for law students. It was our honor to get to know about it from the practitioner himself. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing with us your immense knowledge. Next, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Rajesh Bhavangada sir and Poonam Rawat ma'am, our patron and chairperson respectively, who have constantly supported and encouraged us every time in organizing a productive event that is intended to promote legal learning. Thank you so much, ma'am and sir. I also express my gratitude to Mr. Sampreet Ajmani, Advocate Supreme Court and President, Youth Bar Association of India, for providing technical support, without which this seminar wouldn't have been possible. Finally, I would like to thank all the participants who registered for the webinar and made this experience richer. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Poonam sir, namaskar. So thank you, all of you.
Thank you so much.